When you need money fast, be the hero. Go to cashnetusa.com to apply for the money you need now.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. We are following breaking news out of New Mexico. I'm Julia Janae. Thank you for being with us. A New Mexico judge upholds a dismissal of involuntary manslaughter charge that was pending against Alec Baldwin in the middle of a trial. This was involving a fatal movie set shooting of Helena Hutchins, a cinematographer. And we know the armorer was convicted of that involuntary manslaughter. Alec Baldwin faced a trial, faced a jury, and then there was the discovery violation in the middle of this trial. What we've learned is that District Judge Mary Marlowe Summer stood by her July decision to dismiss that charge against Baldwin with prejudice, meaning that the prosecution can't file charges again. But the prosecutor in this case, Special Prosecutor Carrie Morrissey, did file an objection, requested a review of that, and may be going on appeal over this because she believes that this was not a proper dismissal of the charge against Alec Baldwin. Now, the judge in this case, in writing this opinion, said that prosecutors didn't raise any factual or legal arguments that would justify reversing her decision. So let's bring in our guest who is standing by for this hour. Joining us now from Denver, Colorado, criminal defense attorney Jeffrey Wolf. Jeffrey, not surprising that the judge would stand by her own decision, but what happens now? Do you think the special prosecutor will continue to try and get these charges reinstated against Alec Baldwin?
She seems pretty hell-bent on trying to get this going forward again for whatever reason. And I think she may do it at her own peril because a lot of this stems from her own actions. And I think that that may lead to some sort of prosecutorial misconduct and possibly an ethical violation on her own part. I'm surprised she isn't already facing that. And if she keeps pushing it, she may find that creeping up on her.
Yeah, Jeffrey, how unusual is it for a prosecutor to come back and appeal a decision? Typically, and correct me if I'm wrong, you would see the defense have the ability to appeal, but if there was a conviction or an acquittal, a final decision by the jury, the prosecution doesn't get to come back and try and get it turned over. It's double jeopardy.
Correct. Double jeopardy prevents them from appealing an acquittal, but a dismissal by the judge on legal grounds, they can take up on appeal if they want to. But when it's something that results from their own misconduct, it's very, very rare to see a prosecutor push it this hard. It's also rare to see a prosecutor take the stand to defend it the way she did. So she is just acting completely outside the bounds of normal prosecutorial behavior.
That seems to be the sentiment in the legal community, but we'll continue to follow what happens in this case, as it seems it still hangs in the balance, at least in the mind of Carrie Morrissey and how she's going to continue to proceed in this case. Jeffrey, we are going to pay attention to a Georgia courtroom that we've been following, the Toddler and Landfill murder trial for Leilani Simon. The jury has been out 4 hours and 14 minutes, and we've paused the clock because the jury has a question. So let's go into court and see what they have to say to the court.
And so we're back on the record. Turn that back on. We're back on the record with another jury question, and this will be court exhibit number 6. Right. Thank you. And let the record reflect that all counsel are present and Ms. Simon is present as well. And it's not a very serious question either, but we have one juror who needs their personal something brought from home, lunch warmed in the microwave. So, and can we order drinks for lunch?
Can I ask you a question about these questions, Your Honor?
Yes.
Because I feel like this is going to drive me to a cardiologist if this keeps up. Are these matters of a logistical nature? I feel like I've never seen these dealt with formal jury questions.
I know. But for right now, let's just bring out let's bring out the foreperson. Let me answer that question for her. And yeah, these are not these are not the kind of questions that we imagine that we need to round us all up for. But yes, thank you.
I agree with you, but it is what it is. Every jury is different.
Hello. So, Juror 5, is it that one of the jurors needs their personal lunch warmed up?
Yes.
And they have it with them?
They did.
Perfect. All right. I think that can be arranged. And drinks are coming with ice in cups. Thank you.
That was it?
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do they come up every time somewhere?
Clear, Your Honor.
Thank you. We're in recess until. Can I ask counsel to step out to the hall with me?
All right, you heard the attorney there saying he was going to have to consult a cardiologist because of the way these questions have been coming in. Just to give you a little bit more information, the first question from this jury was about 20 minutes ago. All of the parties came in. They stopped the clock, or we stopped the clock here at Court TV, and the question was, is there a set time block for lunch? So they're now getting another question, and it has to do with food. Again, let's bring back in Jeffrey Wolf, standing by, criminal defense attorney. Jeffrey, every judge is different. I don't know if this would require an instruction to the jury just to say, hey, if it's got to do with smoke breaks or lunch breaks, just let the bailiff know what you need.
Yeah, absolutely. Most judges are going to give an instruction to the jury before they send them back to deliberate that the bailiff is there to help them with personal needs like this, and that they should just let the bailiff know if they have a question about food or about breaks and things like that. There is no need to fill out a jury question form for things like this. I have never been in a trial where a judge convenes all the parties to have this kind of a question asked or answered. Usually you get an update from the judge about when the jury is eating or something along those lines, but you don't have something like this occur. It seems that this judge may have either forgotten or is not in the habit of practice of letting the jury know that that type of procedure is in place and that that's what the bailiff is for, to kind of act as their personal assistant for things like this. And so here we are, the jury is using the question form for that. And so, yes, the lawyers and the defendant in this case are going to actually have their adrenaline pumping about what this question could be about. Could we be looking at a hung jury? Could we be on the verge of a verdict? And instead, when are the drinks getting here, and can we get one of the lunches warmed up in the microwave? I can't even imagine the adrenaline pumping through these attorneys and this defendant when that occurs.
Oh, for sure. Our heart rate goes up here on Court TV because we think, oh, we're going to get some information as to what the jury's thinking about. And now we know they're thinking a lot about food back there. Jeffrey, stand by. We are going to switch gears. Another Georgia trial that we have been following. Keep in mind the Florida trial we've been following, the suitcase murder trial. Their opening statements are happening in about an hour and a half. So we will get back into that courtroom once things convene there. But the Melody Farris trial in North Georgia is the one that we are going to turn to now. She's accused of killing her husband, Gary, and then putting his body in a fire pit on their property. And we're picking it up with arguments surrounding a really interesting witness. She is related to the defendant by blood, but she's also related by marriage to the defendant's boyfriend, Rusty Barton. It's Martha Barton, his stepmother. Let's go back into the courtroom. There was a question about whether or not she could testify because she's been watching this trial on Court TV, and apparently no one informed her that as a witness, she's not supposed to do that. So the defense has asked for a mistrial. Let's hear what the judge has to say about that.
Established previously that no one actually had subpoenaed her. Is that correct?
That's right. We didn't subpoena her.
And no one, and no one specifically gave her any instruction on what she could or could not do as far as watching any of the events.
To my knowledge, no, Your Honor, but I can put her under oath and we could ask her also.
Well, that's probably a good idea. Let's do that.
All right. Ms. Martha, would you can stay seated. Don't get up. Raise your right hand if you would, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to present in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Absolutely. Ms. Martha, state your full name for the record.
Martha Jane Barton.
We're going to ask you some preliminary questions, not going into the other stuff, but in all fairness, the judge and the attorneys would like to know, did you ever receive a subpoena in this case?
No.
No one served you with any documents or anything?
No.
I think you talked to our office with Ms. Frankish one time over the phone.
I did.
A couple of weeks beforehand. Outside of that, did you talk to any of the defense attorneys?
No.
And did you hear from anyone else in the case about this case prior to trial?
I have not.
That's all I have to say.
All right. Okay, any additional argument, Ms. Weir?
Additional argument, as to this issue of having to be under subpoena for sequestration, I don't think the law is actually clear on that, so we do not accept that that is what we must follow. Of course, that can be taken up in another court at a different time, but we still, of course, object to that premise by the court. And furthermore, if she is allowed to testify, we are requesting, and we need to put this on the record, we are requesting a charge to read to the jury before her testimony, letting the jury know that she broke the rule of sequestration, and she has watched this trial, and you are to determine the weight and the credibility of the witness.
Judge, may I reply?
No, that's all right. She was a potential witness, a named witness, but was never served a subpoena. It probably would have been best for her to receive some instruction to not watch the proceedings, although I don't know that that is another issue that none of us have gone through before, and maybe next time we will do it a little bit differently. But there was definitely no intentional violation by the state that would justify a mistrial. I'm not inclined to grant a curative instruction or anything saying that she violated any rule of sequestration, since she was not informed that she could not contact anyone or watch the proceedings or anything. I will let y'all cross-examine her to the extent that y'all wish to about any or all of that. And I'm not gonna restrict any of that. Y'all can ask her any questions about anything that she's seen or where she got her information from, or any of that stuff is fair game. But I think it's appropriate for cross. Y'all can ask her that she knew that she could potentially be as a witness, and that whether or not she thought it was a good idea to watch it, or any of that kind of stuff, I think is fair game.
Judge, we've learned from this too, because we notified the ones on our list that we provide the defense about not contacting anything outside of that.
I haven't instructed a single witness as they left the stand to not watch the proceedings and I probably should have done that.
Well, we didn't tell them, so we told them.
So anyway, we'll do it all differently maybe next time we have one of these. All right. Anything else?
That's all, Your Honor.
All right, bring them in.
And Judge, just for the record, I will.
So no mistrial, which makes sense because the evidence hasn't even been entered in front of the jury yet for there to be a mistrial. But also that rule of sequestration, we hear that word a lot when it comes to witnesses. It's the reason they can't sit inside of a courtroom and watch testimony, because you don't want their testimony to be impacted. You don't want them to match their story up or to change their story based on what someone else has said. In this case, it's the same with watching it on court TV, and typically attorneys would instruct their witnesses not to watch anything or even watch the news having to do with this case and testimony. So that's the decision of the court, that the defense can bring it up on cross-examination. Let's get to a break and we'll get you back in for more of Martha on the Stand on Direct. We are in Georgia for the trial of a wife who's accused of killing her husband and then burning his remains.
When you see the opportunity and the motive, money, sex, new life.
Gary Farris was a very prominent Atlanta attorney.
It is common knowledge that they had affairs.
Defendant murdered and desecrated her own husband.
The Burn Pile Murder Trial. Live coverage today on Court TV.
Bounce elevates and celebrates the achievements of HBCUs all year long.
From the classroom to the field, we are making history.
Bounce HBCU Yearbook.
His identity, a mystery.
Who is he?
His sword, lightning fast.
I challenge you!
His name,
Zorro! Zorro!
Zorro. Tuesdays starting 5/4 Central on Grid Extra.
The convicted murderer of the horrific honor killings.
What happened that night?
Speaks out for the first time on camera.
You make it sound like you're the victim.
Exactly. Interview with a killer. Sunday, 8/7 Central on Court TV.
You got us banned from being room parents? I have never been more in love with you.
Who wants to go nuts for donuts?
Show him your folding trick.
I'm not in the mood for your sheet right now.
That's gotta hurt, huh? You keep me coming back for more.
I didn't hear anybody knock. Shall we proceed?
My pa's the best shot in the whole world. Isn't it exciting?
They call you the rifleman.
Just make it good.
You budget. You pay bills.
Yet somehow, women like you, like me,
are 80% more likely than men to live in poverty in retirement.
So here's what we're gonna do now. We're going to save ourselves by setting a goal to save 2% more of our income for our retirement.
Why 2? 1% honors you.
And 1% honors all womankind.
So come on, learn more about the 2% challenge at wesaysaveit.org.
1, 2, 3, hold out! I am proud to be able to be on the first ever HBCU gymnastics team. This is how we'll do it! To be able to show off my talents at a HBCU is very honoring.
A woman and her 1-year-old son found dead in a park.
Now the child's father stands trial for their murders.
An ex-Border Patrol agent's life hangs in the balance in this high-stakes death penalty trial.
This dirt trail will tell a story. Baby Dominic was being hunted, but not by a creature, not by an animal, but by his own father.
The Mistress and Child Murder Trial. Weekdays noon to 4 on Court TV. Legendary Trials.
You go get him, Tiger.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Maritza Giorgio, live from our studio in Missoula, Montana, and this is America Tonight.
Scripps News takes you ahead of the headlines.
We're reading between the lines there.
America Tonight on Scripps News. Find with an antenna or on your favorite streaming app.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. Thank you for following along with us. We're going to get you back inside of that courtroom in Georgia in just a moment, but we do have a quick programming note. On Sunday, Court TV is going to bring you the latest episode in our new series, Interview with a Killer, hosted by investigative reporter David Scott. He goes inside high security prisons, and this time it's to talk to Yasser Saeed. He's a Texas man who was convicted of killing his 2 teenage daughters in what some described as a, quote, honor killing. You saw that play out here in a trial on Court TV, and he testified in his own defense. He denied killing the girls while on the stand and insisted again from behind bars that someone else is to blame.
He put the girls in his taxi cab and told their mother she wouldn't be joining them. Tell me, Mr. Saeed, in your own words, and in as much detail as you can, what happened that night?
I was going to talk to them, and their car was following me.
And you became alarmed that you thought you were being followed?
Yes.
Right? And then what happened next?
I stop in an area where everyone can see us. The Dart bus station. I left.
You left the car?
I left. I was mad, and I left. Just take myself and left.
You were mad or you were afraid?
Both.
Be sure to catch the entire episode. It's a compelling look inside the mind of this man who's been convicted of murder. Interview with a Killer airs this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern right here on Court TV. And if you want to go back and watch the first episode, you can tune in tonight at 7 p.m. David Scott interviews a serial killer in Alaska, Brian Stephen Smith, and confronts him about the double life he led, preying on vulnerable Indigenous women there. Let's turn our attention back to Georgia for the trial for a wife who's accused of killing her husband and burning his remains. Detectives initially believed that Melody's husband, Gary Farris, a prominent attorney in Atlanta, had suffered a medical issue and had fallen into the burn pile on their property. Then this case turned into a homicide investigation when a bullet was found by the coroner in Gary's ribs. Now, the next witness has been called to the stand. It's Melody Barton. She's Melody Farris's second cousin and Rusty Barton's stepmother. Let's go into court and see what she has to say to this jury.
Tell this jury your full name for us, please.
Martha Jane Barton.
And spell your name for us, if you would, please.
B as in boy. A-R-T-O-N.
And don't give me your address, but tell me the city you're from.
Tullahoma, Tennessee.
You're going to have to spell Tullahoma for us.
Tullahoma.
Miss Martha, tell the jury about how big of a city Tullahoma is.
It's about 18,000, maybe a few more.
And how old are you today?
84.
84. How long have you lived in Tullahoma?
Practically all my life.
Do you consider it your home?
Oh, yes.
Now, if I asked you how many people in Tullahoma you know, how many you think you know?
Well, not as many as I used to, but I'm sure to come out. I worked at a bank, the same bank, for over 53 years. And growing up there, I know quite a few, and if I don't know the person, I probably know their parents and grandparents.
Now, Tullahoma, how many stoplights and things like that? They have big stores, little stores?
We're growing. we have several stoplights, and we're growing in with stores that we have a Publix. Hobby Lobby, Marshall's, Ulta. We have a Ross.
You have an Aldi's?
An Aldi.
Okay.
Of course, Kroger's.
And
several banks.
Several banks. Now, is it my understanding that you like purses and shoes?
Who told you that? Yes, I do.
Okay. What type of brand of purses do you like?
I guess I have more Michael Kors, but I have.
You have a lot?
Yeah, I have a lot. I have too many.
Yeah. Now, when you're in Tullahoma, do you have an opportunity to go out much these days? Or
Not now. For about, with COVID. And then since then, I've had a lot of health issues, and so I don't get to go out.
Would you just tell the jury about, I know you have some heart issues. Just briefly, what kind of heart issues have you had? I'm going to ask you some questions later on, but just tell us about that.
Open heart surgery with aorta valve replacement. And then about a week later, I had to have a pacemaker put in. And I still have heart issues. I have another valve that's giving me problems now. I've had COVID twice. Since then, I've developed COPD and emphysema, and that's why my voice is like it is. I also have macular degeneration and have to have injections in my eyes.
Okay. Did you take your medicine today? Did
hard.
you take your medicine today?
I did.
All right. If I get going too fast, sometimes I get going fast, just raise your hand and I'll slow down, all right?
Okay.
Tell me, what kind of education do you have?
1 year of college.
What'd you study in college?
Well, actually, I meant to study psychology in the first year. I didn't, and then I quit and went to work at the bank. We were neighbors to the people that back then, you know, they owned the bank. And so one day I was in there and the president of the bank asked me if I'd like a job. So I took the job and stayed.
When you started working at the bank, what kind of job did you start with and what did you end up doing?
Oh, well, back then you started posting accounts. And
what's posting accounts? I don't know what that means.
Well, checks and deposits, the people's checks.
Okay.
And their deposits. And all the accounts are everything was done like a ledger, like A's and B's and C's and D's, like that. So
like a book ledger, old paper ledger?
Oh, no, you had a cardboard, a heavy piece of paper that you'd put down in the machine, and so you would put in the checks to take off and add the deposits. And then I went from that to running the proof machine, which
a proof machine?
Which proves the work that goes through.
Okay.
Then I started as teller. Then I went to being over all the tellers and over the vault. Went then to doing just CDs and IRAs. And then the last, I think 16 years, I was a branch manager.
Okay, you managed the bank? Did you enjoy that?
I did.
Did you like working at the bank?
I did. I like being with people.
Are you a people person?
I am.
Now, did you work, you said 53 years at the bank? Is that pretty much the main place that you worked?
I started out at the old building. They built a new one. And then after that, I went down to the branch. So actually, I worked in 3 different buildings.
How many people kind of were employed when you started, and how many people did it grow to, the bank?
Oh, we started out with probably 10 or so, maybe 12. And there were over 40 when I left.
Did you know them all?
I did. That's how I know half of Oklahoma. They'd have worked at the bank at one time or another.
They come in and see you. Now, do you go by Martha Jane sometimes too?
Mostly Martha. Yeah, Martha Jane's fine.
Okay. Now, I've heard that you go by something else. I was just told, Miss Monica told me this morning, I think I caught it yesterday when we were talking, but do you go by Marty also?
Marty.
Okay. Is that, how do you distinguish when someone calls you Martha Jane versus Marty? What does that mean to you?
Martha Jane is the people that I knew a long, long time ago, family.
Okay.
When my nephew was born and he just turned 59, and his mother and daddy referred to me as Aunt Martha or Aunt Martha Jane, he started calling me Marnie. And so really for about 13 years, his sister wasn't born until he was almost 13. And he wouldn't let anybody else call me Marnie. He said, she's my Marnie, not yours. So then when his sister was born.
We're hitting the pause button on this testimony. I'm watching Melody Farris. She has a very close connection to the woman on the stand. We understand she was like a mother to her, and she helped care for her those times that she would go visit her boyfriend in Tennessee. She'd be helping care for his stepmom, her mother figure. Let's get to a break and get you back in for more testimony from Martha Barton in the Melody Farris trial.
Skating for over 45 years has taken a toll on my body. I take Cunol turmeric because it helps with healthy joints and inflammation support. Why Cunol? It has superior absorption compared to regular turmeric. Cunol, the brand I trust.
A woman and her one-year-old son found dead in a park.
Now the child's father stands trial for their murders.
An ex-Border Patrol agent's life hangs in the balance in this high-stakes death penalty trial.
This dirt trail will tell a story. Baby Dominic was being hunted, but not by a creature, not by an animal, but by his own father.
The Mistress and Child Murder Trial. Weekdays noon to 4 on Court TV. Legendary Trials.
I didn't hear anybody knock. Shall we proceed?
My boss is the best shot in the whole world. Isn't it exciting?
They call you the rifleman. Just make it good.
Scripps News is streaming for free on all your favorite streaming services. Once you get the app, get free access to breaking news, live events, and the award-winning journalism you expect from Scripps News. Start streaming Scripps News today.
These internships are really important because any story that you produce is going to demonstrate to future employers that you can do the work.
It's a great way to get experience, to improve your own professionalism.
It's opened so many opportunities for me to network with other people.
It was a really influential experience for me because it got me to feel what it would be like in an actual newsroom while I was still in college.
It's really valuable to train up a new field of young people so that we can get the skills that we need to hopefully enter the workforce.
You go get him, Tiger. Oh, yeah.
Ion is on with 3 networks to enjoy.
Yeah, it's on.
Yes, showtime.
You're going to want to see this.
It's on.
Ion, Ion Plus, and Ion Mystery.
Wow!
It's on.
1, 2, 3, I am proud to be able to be on the first ever HBCU gymnastics team. This is how we'll do it! To be able to show off my talents at a HBCU is very honoring.
Join the case that puts you in the middle of the mystery.
The answer's in front of us.
And keeps you guessing till the very end.
It's anyone's guess who's next.
Every twist, every turn.
Everything we need to find this guy is right here.
Ion Mystery. Join the investigation.
It's something about having that piece of paper. Some people think that's worth more than my skills.
I've run this place for 20 years, but I still need to prove that I'm more than what you see on paper.
You just gotta be so good they can't ignore you.
It's the way my mind works. I have a very mechanical brain.
Analytics and empathy. That's how I gain clients.
I am more.
I'm more
than who I am on paper.
It's really important for Scripps News reporters to live where they are reporting.
You get to talk to people from all different backgrounds.
We do stories with people regardless of the political persuasions.
We're coming here as people, as your neighbors. We know best what's happening in our communities.
And that's why I wake up every morning, is I hope I can deliver folks information so they can make an educated decision. I'm Forrest Saunders,
Ben Brown,
Jake Burns,
Rachel Louise Just, Alex Miller, Scripps News.
Watch Scripps News, find with an antenna, or on your favorite streaming app.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julia Janae. The trial for a wife who's accused of killing her husband and burning his remains is underway this hour in Georgia. Prosecutors say Melody Farris shot and killed her husband Gary in 2018 over money. His remains were found on a burn pile on their property, but the defense says that this investigation is flawed. They ask how Melody could have moved her over 300-pound husband onto that burn pile, and they pointed the finger at her son. We've been listening to testimony from Melody's second cousin, Martha Jane Barton. Let's get you back into the courtroom now for more of her direct examination.
So then when his sister was born, he let her call me that. And so then, well, Roy and I had already married, and then when the grandchildren came along, I insisted that they call me Marnie.
Now, has some people referred to you as MJ? You ever heard that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm going to probably call you Miss Martha, if that's okay.
It's okay.
All right. What church do you go to?
Church of Christ.
How big is that? How big is the congregation?
About 175.
And is this a church where it's a lot of family and people you relate to?
No, a few, but not really. It's church family.
At one point, did Rusty go there?
He did.
Yeah, and we know who Rusty is. So
Yes.
I'm going to refer to Roy Barton Jr. as Rusty.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when it comes to your health, did you have to have some surgeries, open heart surgery?
I did. In
How many of those?
2014.
In 2014?
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you go to get that done?
St. Thomas, Nashville.
How'd they do? How'd they do with that? Was it good?
Oh, yeah, it turned, yeah.
And,
except for having to have the pacemaker put in.
But your day-to-day life is kind of the same since you retired. You just try to take it easy.
Very. No, you don't set an alarm clock.
Now, Miss Martha, are you senile?
I hope not.
How's your memory these days?
Well, I went to my doctor about 3 months ago, and I thought I was having trouble remembering names.
Uh-huh.
And these were people's names that I had known years ago, and I'd think of them. And so when I went in, I told the nurse that I wanted some memory pills. And she said, well, he'll give you a memory test. Well, she actually did it. And it was 30 questions. And he came in the room and he said, Martha, why did you want that? You aced the test. So I said, well, I can't remember names. And he said, well, you're not around people. And these were people, I said, I was paid to remember names. And he said, well, those were people that you were in contact with every day. So he helped my feelings.
Oh, good. I want to talk about your late husband.
Okay.
And I know
I like to talk about it.
I know you do like to talk about Mr. Roy. So let's talk about Mr. Roy. Roy Barton Sr. If you would, just tell the jury when you met him. What year was that?
I had known him. My sister had worked with him several years before. And in 1975, I went to a class reunion and he was there with another girl. And I promise you, I did not flirt with him. I don't even know. I mean, I know I spoke to him. But then that was on a Saturday night. Sunday afternoon, he called me. And my first thing, no, you know, you're going with someone else. And he assured me that they weren't in any permanent, steady, engaged relationship.
He wasn't going steady with her, huh?
No, but I still wouldn't go out. I said no. So he told me that he had come home talking about me, and Rusty, who I had known since he was a little boy because of coming in the bank, had said, Daddy, call Martha. And then he said, he just left, and he said, don't forget to call Martha. Well, I thought, well, if he said it was okay, you know, it was okay. But he came out to my house and we talked on the phone for 2 or 3 weeks.
What year did y'all get married?
We married in 75.
75. How old?
Oh, yeah, when we got started, he was very pushy about, he proposed. And
How long were y'all married?
Almost 39 years.
And how old was Rusty when y'all got married?
He was 22 or 23.
And did Rusty live with y'all in the beginning?
He did.
And Rusty is he, I guess technically your stepson, but are you close to him?
I am.
Do you love him?
I do. He's been very good to me.
Are you? How's it going to be when you have to talk to him again?
I don't know.
Not looking forward to that?
I'm not.
Now, I want to ask you some question. Melody Walker Farris here. Do you see her in court today?
I do.
Do you love her?
I do.
I want to ask you some things about her, but can you tell the jury, I think you've described it as you were from a small family. What's that mean when you were from a small, when it relates to how you take Kay Walker and Melody? How's that work?
My mother only had one brother, and my daddy didn't have any brothers and sisters. So mother's brother had one daughter who was Melody's mother.
That's Kay Walker?
Kay.
All right.
She was my only first cousin. And we were very close, very, very close. I loved her like a sister.
Was there a time that you and were living and Kay and Melody came to the house and lived a little bit, or not in your house, but did Kay live with your family at some point?
No.
And was there a time that even when you were older that you would spend time with Melody?
Oh, yes. When I first started working at the bank, well, I didn't marry until I was 35. So when Melody was born, I was 20. And then when they moved to Nashville, the bank would be closed on Thursday. So very often I would go down on Wednesday night and stay on Thursday with them, and sometimes even go for the weekend.
Miss Martha, do you like Willie Nelson?
I do.
When's the last time you saw Willie Nelson in concert?
When Melody came and took me to see him in Atlanta.
Do you remember what year that was?
It was probably 2017, 2018. Gary hadn't died.
Was it a good concert?
Oh, yes.
Would y'all do things like that often? Just go and do stuff?
No, that's the only time we ever went to a concert.
One thing about Melody Farris, when she reacts emotionally in court, it almost seems like she has been trying to hold it back, and it even catches her off guard. It comes across very genuine, not like putting on airs at all. Let's bring in the attorney who is standing by watching this case with us, criminal defense attorney Jeffrey Wolf. Jeffrey, this is a witness who clearly knows the defendant very well. I'm anxious to see what she has that the prosecution must want to get out of her. And as you mentioned earlier, the defense doesn't want to come out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's been a lot of buildup here, right? And we're seeing the prosecution painstakingly set up this little old woman as, you know, this Southern belle for this jury. We've gotten into what kind of purses she collects, what her health is like, how the town has grown over the years, how well she knows everybody in town. They are setting up her history as a person in painstaking detail. It's almost got you wondering what the relevance of any of it is. And, you know, it's hard to object during that as the defense attorney because she's such a sweet little old woman, and it would almost make the jury angry to object during any of it. But what in the world is the relevance of any of it other than theatrics by the prosecution, quite frankly?
Both sides, I'll say, Jeffrey, seem to do that. Even with law enforcement officers on the stand, the prosecution will go back to their reason for getting into law enforcement and their life and what they enjoy doing. I mean, it's been very fascinating and probably why we're on day 15 or so of this trial and we're still in the state's case. Jeffrey Wolf, thank you so much for your analysis. We're going to get to a break and get you back in for more of the trial against Melody Farris. What is her